Right, here we go. We are on episode 3 of Experience is Key. And this one is the Sparky episode, Electrician. We've got on our left, we've got MacKenzie, who's a student at Fife College. And on our right, we've got Mike Shep, who is an experienced electrician with his own business. So, yeah, this podcast is all about an amateur in a field or a student. And he gets to pick the brains of an experienced guy in the same field. So, yeah, over to you, MacKenzie. On you go.
So my first question would be, what's been your favourite job in your career so far?
Had to be working up the Kingdom Centre, Glenorthus for, it was the summer months, 3 to 4 months doing external lighting. I didn't need to go into the reasons why. It was my favourite job, but it was a really good job. That's the first one that kind of springs to mind. Done a distillery along at King's Barns. That was a good job as well. Designed a control panel for that, so that was quite good. But Kingdom Centre for, I'll tell you the reasons later.
Cool. My next question would be, what's the most expensive mistake you've made?
Ooh, I should really be saying I didn't make mistakes.
Mm-hmm. As an apprentice, then?
As an apprentice, I was a bit careless, actually. I was disconnecting a board, and I don't know if you've heard of a mate called Cutler hammer boards, distribution boards, so the bus bars aren't protected internally, and machines had to be shifted because they weren't getting passed for fire safety, so I had to quickly disconnect these, and I disconnected them, and I was just yanking the cables out, and an earth actually caught the bus bars, and the bus bar actually blew up right in my face, so that was probably the most expensive one I've done. That was a second year apprentice, so that was a long time ago.
Next question would probably be, if you could change anything about the regulations, what would it be? Doesn't have to be anything specific, but
I feel personally that some of them are a bit OTT. When you look at our regulations compared to other places that their electrical systems are fine, I think we're a wee bit over the top with some stuff, but for the most part we're just looking after people's safety, so yeah, that's it. I just think some of it could be a bit over the top.
Would you recommend becoming an electrician to anyone, or is there specific attributes you would say you must require?
To be honest with you, I don't think there's specific attributes. I never wanted to be an electrician to begin with. It was just a time and a place thing for me. I got an apprenticeship at a time I was trying to be a fireman. So I never had anything background-wise to say, right, I should be a Sparky, but as I say, it turned out all right. I got an apprenticeship at a good time, so yeah, I would recommend anybody to do it. It's a good profession.
Do you wish you had focused on any area more as an apprentice / earlier in your career?
Nah, to be honest, I'm pretty happy with what I've done. I was saying to you earlier on, I done an installation apprenticeship, but I done maintenance at the factory I was working at, so I had a pretty broad range of experience as an apprentice, so no, I'm pretty happy with everything I've done.
What would you say is your strongest area of work? Like, would it be metal munching, first fix, second fix, testing, domestic?
I kind of made my living with fault finding. I worked for a company in Windygates for 15 years, and basically I could run my whole day with a pair of pliers, a screwdriver and a meter. I was just fault finding on machines, so I would say my strongest area is building and designing control panels for machines and fault finding on machines.
Reflecting back on it now, was your FICA as difficult as you imagined?
I think in any walk of life, I think the worry about an event's actually worse than the event itself. I was kind of a bit nervous about it the night before, but once you get there, I think as a Sparky, you just need to try and keep a clear head. If you can kind of come up with a plan, which I did, I thought it was all right.
Would you say it's a rewarding job, being an electrician?
It is, aye. It's definitely rewarding when people were out of power or some of the care homes were going to they're out of power. It is rewarding to get people up and working. And I'm still doing a lot of breakdowns for factories. So when you get the factories up and running, because money's time to factories, aye, it is quite rewarding. I was in it actually in an inverter fault the other day there, and they were pretty chuffed we got the machine going. So aye, it definitely is rewarding, yeah.
I've got here saying, what's one piece of advice that really stuck with you in your chosen trade?
My German just used to say to me, didn't eat yellow snow, but I mean, that never really helped me with the apprenticeship. One piece of advice. I think it was, my journeyman always used to say to me, take your time to suss the job out, almost like a kind of creative kind of part of the job. Didn't just dive in to the job. As I say, there's almost like a kind of creative process when you're doing some job. So aye, it was just to kind of take a step back and suss out what you're doing before you kind of jump onto the job. That'd probably be the best bit of advice I got.
Sorry, a funny one here, but it's basically saying, what's the best nicknames you've heard on site?
I'm on TikTok actually, and there was a couple of ones that I liked. I think one of them was motion sensor. I don't know if you've heard that, but they only work when somebody walks by. And the other end was coleslaw, and I was like, coleslaw, 90% cabbage. That was. But aye, there's quite a few good nicknames, but aye, that's the kind of couple that kind of stick out. Have you heard any?
There's a boy in one of the quarries that walks with a limp, so he gets called the sniper's nightmare because he waddles and he bobbles.
Ah, dear.
So you were saying earlier that you originally wanted to be a fireman. So how long have you been an electrician now?
Well, I'm 46, and I started my time when I was 17, so I'm in my 30th year. 30 years being a Sparky. 30th year, so it's just kind of fluent. I've been in business for 8 years, so it's all good. It's going pretty well.
Is it as good as what it's made out to be running your own business?
Again, I kind of spoke to you about this in the foyer earlier on. There's more and more paperwork now, and the buck kind of stops with me because I'm the boss. So I find myself in front of a laptop 2 or 3 days a week, and I really didn't enjoy that aspect of the job. I'm not going to lie, but I still really enjoy the hands-on stuff, which I do half the week as well. So, yeah.
Try and think of other ones now. I went through all my good ones.
I'll chime in with one if you want. So Shep, if you were looking for an apprentice, what would you want from them? What is, like, if you looked for an ideal apprentice, what are you looking for?
Well, I've had a couple of apprentices, and they never lasted any time because I don't know. I didn't think young guys kind of. I don't know. I don't know you, but young guys didn't obviously realise the opportunity they've got as an apprentice electrician. They really are difficult to get apprenticeships. So I guess you're looking for somebody that's really quite keen. Like I said, I'm not naming names, but a guy I had, he was like never off his phone when he should have been watching me. Listen, I'm on my phone a lot as well, but there's a time and a place for it. Just keenness and kind of asking questions, but the two I had never done any of that, so I'm just looking for, as I say, keenness.
Cool. What about a nightmare job? You ever had an absolute disaster of a nightmare job or a nightmare customer? Obviously didn't name names or anything, but
Honestly, I could do an hour-long podcast about nightmare jobs. There was one particular house, there was numerous dogs in the house, and let's just say every carpet in the house stunk of dog pee. There was another house, again, not naming names, there was a lighting fault that the woman had no lights in there. I felt sorry for her because she actually had cancer, the woman. And I was standing doing the old teapot assessing the job. I was standing against a door frame, and I went to kind of walk away, and my hand was stuck to the door frame just with the nicotine. And we walked into the living room, and there was guys lying kind of on drugs. So you find yourself in places that aren't nice, but you've just got to get on with it. A few other places, but a couple of farms that are heavy with cattle, and you're working in amongst cattle, and been at a few other farms that have got chicken hen houses, 30,000 chickens in a hen house. I kind of had a Stephen King moment when I was in there. I was like, imagine they attack me, that would be pretty scary, like, yeah. But so I found myself in a few tricky ones, like, but we'll get there. That's the good thing about being self-employed, is I can kind of pick and choose what I go to. I try and know, my attitude is I wouldn't send somebody to someone that I wouldn't do myself, so I try and stay away from these kind of places now if I can.
What about a brand, or like any tools that you would recommend for an apprentice to get?
All my tools are Nipex. I've always had Nipex for when I was an apprentice, so I just keep getting Nipex stuff.
Are they like the leading sort of brand in Sparky work?
I don't know. I mean, maybe MacKenzie's better placed to answer that question than me, but I've just, it's all I've known is Nipex, so I've just continued with them. I couldn't even name Draper. That's a brand, isn't it?
Yeah, Draper. You've got Klein. I've got Nipex snips. Like,
right.
A lot of my stuff is Nipex.
Yeah, I've always thought Nipex was the best of stuff. They last quite a while. I mean, I've got 2 sets of gland pliers that are Nipex that I've had since I started my time. Honest, I mean, the insulation and that's obviously duffing them, but as tools, 29 years in, they're still going strong, like, yeah.
That's class. What about like Sparky hacks, like life hack, like on the job hacks? Have you found any like?
See, the thing is about hacks for jobs. Every job's different, so there's going to be a different hack for every job. But there is. I mean, again, if MacKenzie's been out the tools, there is hacks, but as I say, they're kind of independent to certain jobs hacks. It's all about finding the quickest and best way to do things, isn't it? And as I say, every job's different. So, there is plenty of hacks, but I probably couldn't go through them now. But as I say, because every job's different.
Definitely. Well, we're hitting that 13 mark, so that was class, lads. Thanks very much for that. That ends the Sparky episode for Experience is Key. Thanks to MacKenzie and thanks to Mike Shep. Much appreciated, lads. Thank you.
No bother.
Thanks.